Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of What's New Cockatoo. I'm your host, Susan. I'm also the co-owner of Cockatoo Creative Works, a Tulsa-based art shop. My co-owner is Tori. You'll probably see her in the future, but this one's going to be just me. We are very excited to start this series. We want to do updates on the shop. We want to give you guys some DIY videos, so we're just very excited to have you. You can find us on social media. Mainly Instagram is where we post the most, but there's lots of other social medias that you can find us on. We are at Cockatoo Tulsa just about everywhere. I'll post some links below for you guys. And we also have a website that you can shop our goods on. Okay, so today's topic is going to be DIY screen printing. This is going to be my first time doing screen printing, so we're kind of taking this journey together and we'll see how it goes. I'm going to jump in and I'm going to show you some supplies. So obviously you'll need a screen. The screen comes with this like squeegee. I have one of these little scoop emulsion applicators. I don't know the technical term. I know it's called a scoop and it's for emulsion. You're going to need the emulsion, and then this is called a sensitizer. I don't have all the names down yet. You're going to need ink. The clamp is good if you're going to build your own screen printing press. And then the last thing, the most fun thing, is you're going to need transparencies. You can go to any local print shop and they should be able to print on transparency paper for you. I think that's all the supplies you need. If I left anything out, you'll see it later. First step, you're going to want to degrease your screen, which even though mine was brand new, I went ahead and degreased it anyway because I don't know where it came from, who handled it before it got shipped to me, or how it was handled. So I went ahead and degreased. You can buy kind of expensive degreaser, but I went for the Dawn dish soap route, so hopefully that works. You want to degrease in between every time you use it because even just your fingers have quite a bit of oil on them, and that can affect the quality of your print. The second thing you want to do, and one of the supplies I forgot to show you, the shirt that you're going to print on, or whatever it is that you're going to print on, needs to be pre-washed. So I went ahead and pre-washed a couple of shirts. So those are ready to go. I degreased my screen. And my next step is going to be to mix the emulsion with the sensitizer. The instructions on the sensitizer say to fill it halfway full with cold water because basically right now it feels empty. And you get that really mixed up good. And then you're going to dump it in here and get that mixed up really good. And the colors should change if you're doing it right. So, okay, I don't know if you can see this really well, if that's going to focus for us. Yeah. But it's green right now and it looks pretty empty, and I am going to put some water in there and then we're going to see what the color looks like after I mix some water up. So it's turning kind of brown, which is what you want. So I went from like bright green to kind of this yellowish brown color. I'm going to shake it a little bit more. Okay, I think that is about as good as we're going to get it. So now I'm going to pour it into the emulsion. The emulsion is bright freaking blue. Okay, so I've got it mixed up. It is green. It's kind of a blue green. I would recommend something smaller than your regular paint stir stick because that was kind of a mess. I made a mess. So maybe like a chopstick. If you've got like a little wooden chopstick, that would work really well. So I'm not going to show you the inside color of this because it is already photo light sensitive. So I don't want to risk exposing it by putting it directly into the camera light that I've got going on. So I'm going to use this. So I'll kind of give you a demonstration of what I'm going to do, but I'm not going to take you there with me. I have heard that it's a good technique to hold like this, pour out, so your emulsion's going to be in here, you're pouring out, you're lifting up, and then you're tilting this back up so that it drips back in, and you're releasing. I've heard that it's good measure to do it twice on both sides. You definitely want to do it once on both sides. I've heard twice. So I'm going to do it twice on both sides. And then it has to sit in a dark room and harden for a couple of hours. Okay guys, as you can probably tell, we are on the next day. I set it aside to dry, let the emulsion dry. I checked it, I'd say about 3 hours went by, and it was still too wet, and then I was losing daylight. So I decided, let's just let it dry overnight. You can let it dry for 24 hours, probably long. I mean, I'm not sure if it hurts it to dry longer than that. I don't want to confidently say you can dry it longer than that. I did a quick Google search, and 24 hours was like immediately the first thing that it said. So it should be dry now. It hasn't been full 24 hours, but I think that's fine. One thing that I forgot to tell you guys, when you're putting the emulsion on, you're probably going to want some paper towels because it gets crazy messy. I did 2 swipes on both sides with the scoop coater of emulsion. I feel like my edges are kind of thick. You're supposed to have the bottom side down. I'll just show you guys in a minute while it's drying, because you want the flat side of the screen to be the thickest. So you have to lay it and let gravity kind of do its work. But you don't want it touching anything because it's wet. So you have to find a way to kind of prop up with the corners. You're gonna need a black trash bag. That's another thing I forgot initially. You're gonna need a black trash bag to put this in because it's light sensitive now. So we're gonna take it out of our dark storage where it's been drying, put it into a trash bag, wrap it up pretty tight, take it outside, and quickly put the transparency on top of it and put a sheet of glass over it. Glass on top of it holds it down flat, makes sure that no light can kind of get underneath the black spots, because if light's filtering underneath your transparency, you're not going to get as crisp of an image. I'm going to cut down my transparency so that I don't have this white edge, and I don't really need all this excess. I've got a break in the rain, and actually I've heard that overcast days are good for exposing, so I think I'm going to go ahead and go for it. I have taped my transparency onto a piece of glass. So you're going to want to tape it with the correct design side out. And then when you lay it down on your screen outside, you're going to reverse it. Now it's recommended that you have 2 screens. One you take outside and you test for how long to expose for. So you're going to let different parts of the screen expose for different amounts of time, and then you're going to take it in, you're going to wash it, and you're going to see which amount of time gives you the best result. I don't have 2 screens, so I'm just going to go for it. Since it's overcast, I'm going to go with 1 minute. That might be a little bit much, but I'm hopeful that it'll work. I've seen people do it on clear days for 40 seconds, so I think that a minute is probably right where the money's at. Well, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I totally crashed and burned. I think that there were 2 things that I did wrong. So what happened was I took it outside to expose. My image burned perfectly. I was washing it out using my shower head, and the image started to show up, but then the other emulsion started to come off too. So I think I did 2 things wrong. I think I put too thick of a coat of emulsion on. There were bubbles throughout where it was just really heavy. So I'm gonna try thinner emulsion this time. And I also think because it is just so overcast today, and I have tree coverage in my backyard, that it just wasn't enough light exposure, so the emulsion couldn't harden from the sun the way that it's supposed to. I'm gonna try again. We're gonna get this thing degreased a second time, and dry, and then a new layer of emulsion on it. Instead of 2 passes this time, I'm just gonna do 1 pass on each side, and that should work better. And then earlier when I was talking about letting it dry, so you've got your like this is what I'm calling the back, this dipped inside, and then the front, being the side that's going to touch your shirt or whatever you're printing on, is the flat side. So when you're drying it, you have to dry it flat side down, which means that you have to prop it up on the corners. Lots of people have drying racks. I don't have one, so I've got kind of a little makeshift drying rack in a closet. It's not the best, but it does the job. So I'm gonna try again, and hopefully it works this time. We're on day 3 of our journey together. So it's been drying overnight, and I've got sunlight today, so we're gonna put it in direct sun. I'm gonna let it sit for a minute. I've seen anywhere between like 15 seconds to a minute of other people doing this, but I've got a lot of tree coverage, so I just want to make sure that I really let that emulsion harden. So fingers crossed that it works today. Okay, as you guys can hopefully see, it worked, but I got some spots where the emulsion was too thick that started to peel away. And obviously you can tell I've got all these bubbles, which is not ideal. I need to use less emulsion next time for this screen. I'm not going to be too worried about the spots that I feel like it took too much away. I'm going to let it sit outside in the sun to harden, and then I'm going to tape up those spots. You can also see like the edge of the glass. So ideally, you're going to want glass that goes all the way out to the edges of the screen. That way you don't get these lines, because I'm gonna have to tape those over. The last thing I'll say that I did, I used a toothbrush to try to scrub out the image. There were these intricate lines that just still weren't showing up. So I used it. I was very gentle with it this time, so you don't need a lot of force. Be gentle with it. You work it on one side and then you flip it, you work it on the other side, and it starts to come off. So I did end up using the toothbrush again today, and it worked well, but I also, had some peeling again because the emulsion was too thick. So just kind of be careful with your balance of techniques that you're using. You can see where it's kind of poking through. So I've got some work that I need to do as far as taping goes. You're gonna want to tape any spots that don't have the emulsion on it, any pinholes, even itty bitty little spots that you see that you think the ink might be able to get through, you're gonna wanna tape over, and you're always gonna wanna tape your edges. So I'm gonna use packing tape for my edges, except maybe right here, because I got the burn pretty close to the edge here. So anyway, and then I'm gonna use painter's tape for some of the stuff on the inside that's kind of detail work that I think that packing tape wouldn't work so well for. Okay, I'm gonna walk you guys through what I've got going on here. So I've got my screen taped up. I've got the board that I've clamped my screen to so it can move nice and easy for me. I've got the board that my shirt is tucked into. I used some adhesive spray. I don't know if some adhesive spray on the board and let it get a little bit tacky before I put the shirt on. Oh, my cat's gonna make an appearance. So the board was just a little bit sticky. That way the shirt's not gonna move around as much. Okay, so I just have this white ink. Make sure my tape's not gonna move here on me. I taped both sides, so hopefully we're okay. And you're gonna be pretty generous. Ooh, although I think I'm being a little more generous than I need to be. All right. So you're gonna swipe it up once. It doesn't need to be touching the shirt for this. And flood the screen. Actually, I'm gonna get a little bit more than that to work with at the top here. Okay. So your screen's flooded, you've got it lined up, set it down, and with pretty good force, I push down, and then again, So here is the final product. You can see there's just those intricate lines where I think probably just the emulsion didn't wash off well enough. I probably didn't leave it out in the sun long enough to burn through. So I'll give it another shot, but this has been your DIY. Kind of a fail, but I'll give you guys a look at the one that I do next. I'm sure I'm gonna get this. Okay, we're several days later. I am wearing the shirt that I made on camera with you guys. But since I made this shirt, and I was kind of unhappy with some of the detail that I lost, I went ahead and moved my printmaking station out to the garage. So now I've got a permanent setup. I've got my press attached to my workshop. So it should be a lot more accurate in the future. I went ahead and reclaimed the screen. And I got myself a second screen as well. So instead of trying this very detailed logo again off the bat, I went for kind of a larger version of it. I don't know if you guys can see that very well. So I am excited with how this one turned out. It's still got those fine lines that were kind of giving me difficulty the first time around, but I figured some things out just from working through it that I feel like I came out with a much better product this time. So just kind of larger, but the lines are still pretty fine. So anyway, now I have these lovelies and I've still got this screen so I can make more. I'm gonna do like a limited run of these, so if you guys are interested, there's gonna be a link down below. You guys can go to our website and you can purchase some of our apparel. So I'm really excited about this. I hope you guys maybe learned a little bit with me. Thanks for bearing with me. This was a lot of fun to do my first round with you guys. So I'm excited to do more of these DIY videos. So until next time, I'll see you guys later.